I love Garten of Banban's writing and unique characterization of its monsters and ideas, but I know it's extremely flawed. A rewrite can improve this by better fleshing out the ideas and the overarching narrative. This rewrite by RaijiBro3 is unfortunately not that. He has done several rewrites in the past, with the one I watched being his rewrite of Poppy Playtime, and that was pretty good. So I thought that the series was in excellent hands going into it. What I found was that this rewrite failed to be a good rewrite. He fundamentally misunderstood the personality, the universe, the characters, and the themes of the original series. This video will be formatted like this. A highly edited version of my reaction to one of the 4 parts will be shown, and then I will talk about how it fails and its major flaws. We repeat each part until we are done. If you want to see all of my reactions unedited, the live streams with them are in the description. So without further ado, let's begin. And then they're starting doing this thing where they're rewriting Banban, and so we're going to be reacting to that.
Hey guys, how's it going? And today we're starting a new series on the channel, well, a new rewrite series on the channel, that being Rewriting Banban. I know, the probably not long-awaited series for this channel. Now, this is going to be slightly similar to some of my other rewrite series. If you haven't seen those, that's Rewriting FNAF and Rewriting Poppy Playtime, where I'm going to attempt to try my best to take the Banban concepts, the characters, some of the core ideas, and keep them while reworking everything around them to make better games, a more cohesive story, and just sort of polish and refine what's there, update what's there, add changes where I need to, while keeping as much of the core content as I can, because that's what I like to do with my rewrites.
So this is good. So far, his kind of main idea here is just to keep the content, try and keep Banban as Banban. So I'm very interested to see how it goes, and whether or not he can keep the Banban style, because I will be critically judging you if you mess up anything. So have fun!
However, there are going to be a few things that I'm going to be kind of bending the rules on for this specific Banban rewrite series. Unlike those other series, I will not be rewriting each Banban game. So I'm not going to be sitting here and writing 8+ Banban videos, because I think I will actually go insane and probably die if I attempt to do that. So instead, I'm reducing it down to 4 total videos, which means that my Banban series will only take 4 parts to complete. The whole story, everything I have in mind, will be completed within 4 separate, I guess you could call them quote-unquote games, but videos and parts. And what these will entail is a Banban that is rewritten to keep sort of the charm, if you want to say. It's not really charm, because Banban has no charm, but sort of the...
Banban has no charm. Do I have to pull up the Markiplier clip? Do I have to pull up the Markiplier clip? Do I have to pull up the Markiplier clip? Because I will.
It's got some charm. It has a personality. It has a style. And I just gotta respect that. You have to respect it. You have to.
Dude, you just lost so much respect from me from that one line. So much respect you just lost.
I don't know how else to word it aside from charm, and that is the sort of wacky and silliness and the kind of self-awareness that Banban has, because I think that is a core concept. Oftentimes you'll see people be like, I remade Banban, or I, rebooted Banban, and I made it scary, or I changed everything about it, or all this kind of stuff. But Banban isn't scary, and trying to make Banban scary
there's some parts that are scary,
because Banban isn't scary. So instead, I want to try to take it into more of a route like Finding Frankie and games like that, where they're much more focused on the game itself, the fun, the self-aware, the kind of silly and goofy aspects, rather than making a serious, like, dark, creepy, spooky mascot horror game, like stuff like FNAF and Poppy Playtime try to do. So that is going to be the kind of feel that I want to go for, is take the Banban silliness, tone it down just a bit, don't have all the the tons of wackiness that we have, but also keep some of it so that it is still Banban feeling. Now, to kind of briefly talk about what you can expect within this video before we actually get there, my goal for this video is to specifically rewrite the first game. So while other parts will be combining like parts 2 and 3, or like Banban 4 and 5 and stuff like that, this video will only be talking about the first Banban game and how I
love this reply. I see. Charm is a relative term, not based on anything objective, just people and their prior experience. That is good.
Imagine it into something that would be a more fun experience to play, and like I kind of talked about previously, keeping the Banban charm along the way. So with that, I think I've used enough of you guys' time, so let's roll right into the start of this rewrite. But before we do, please do like, subscribe, check out the shameless plugs and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, I'd appreciate it, and whatever support you want.
Do the same for me. Do the same for me, please. Thank you very much.
On a show to the channel, I would greatly appreciate. So please go like and sub, and with that, let's get into the main rewrite. The game opens with a cutscene showing us the outside of the building. The place is abandoned, decayed. You can see trees blocking part of the building,
so we're going
and
the
plants covering it as
years
well.
in the future.
Our character, Riley, would then talk, saying that she's never seen an abandoned place like this. We then would hear her walk towards the building, and the camera would zoom in onto a Banban sign. Title card!
Okay.
The gameplay then begins, and we find ourselves in the entrance of
Quick question, is this footage yours? Is this footage yours? Or did you get it from someone else like the gaming archivist? Let's check the description. He does not state. I would honestly like that answer.
Banban's Funland, an entertainment center designed for families to spend the day at. The building has no power,
taking away the
and we're only able to access the front lobby and the cafeteria eating zone. Our first objective is to locate the power room and restore power to the building, and Riley would say as much. We will then need to check out the admin desk, and there we find a clue. A note will send us to the cafeteria, and specifically the kitchen. Once you're there, you will find another clue that will send you right back to the front desk. Once you get back there, you'll be able to...
Why go all that way? Like, hey, let's go to the front desk, pick something. Oh, look, this says go to the kitchen. Oh, let's go to the kitchen. Oh, let's go from the kitchen back to the front desk. That just seems like filler.
To open a drawer and find the power room key, and the note saying that they actually forgot they had the key in their desk the whole time. Heading over to the power room.
I'm pretty sure that's just going to be more angering than, like, most of the drone puzzles in the game.
A locked door opposite of the cafeteria, you can unlock it and open the door to find a small closet-sized room with a breaker box inside of it.
And a
Flipping
drone.
it on, the power comes back on, and a light from outside the room casts a shadow in front of you, and you can see two pointed party hats. When you turn, you see that it's just a floodlight shining a light on two party hats that were sitting on the desk. With the power restored, the main doorway to the rest of the building opens up, and you can head inside.
And we're gonna get a drone.
Entering into the hallway, the lights would flicker on and reveal Epilogue's head poking out from an open doorway. There are a few different doorways that you could take, and these doorways would be larger, kind of double doorways, enough for multiple people to enter in and out of at the same time. But these different doorways lead to different parts of the Funland. A trampoline zone, a go-kart zone, a mini golf zone, an arcade zone, and the Banban ball pit, which is currently locked.
Okay, so he's going with a bit more of like a big play area, a sort of family activity area, than kindergarten.
Epilogue's head is poking out of the indoor playground zone.
I wonder how that'll go in with the lore.
Walking over to Epilogue, once you get close enough, you will realize that it's actually just a fake head sitting on a stick, set up to look around the corner. Entering into the playground area, you will find stuff like swings, slides, and one of those like spinning top things that you can sit in and your friends can run around and spin you around really fast. Epilogue is on the opposite side of the room, and a wall art sign of her will say that you need to win 4 Opila eggs to get a free pass to the Banban ball pit. You now have a slightly more open world type of thing here. You can choose the order of the next 4 minigames that you want to play, but for the sake of the video, I will be going through them in order that I listed the zones out in. First up is the trampoline zone, and this would be themed off of Sheriff Toadster, and we kind of set up like a swamp with
Whoa. If one of the areas in the main facility has a section based off Sheriff Toadster, that means Sheriff Toadster's in the final family. Who's in the family in this version? I think we skipped over that. Because if you're changing the main family, that's pretty big deal.
Trampolines being lily pads. There'd be a button near the entrance that would tell you to press it to start the trick game. Wall art of Sheriff Toadster would tell you to do as many cool tricks as you can, and if you get enough points, you will win an Opila egg. Starting the minigame, you'd be moved and limited to 1 trampoline, and some fun music would start in the background. The game would be kind of a quick time event style, where a letter would appear on your screen, and you need to press it as fast as you can, so like A or Z, stuff like that. And when you press the letter, you would go through a different animation, stuff like a front flip or like a cartwheel or something, I don't really know. But you'll do a bunch of different jumps and fancy moves. And eventually, if you do good enough, the game will end and you will win your first Opila egg. Next up is the go-kart zone. And this area would be themed off of Slow Celine. And again, there would be a button to
Slow
start
Celine's
the
also
minigame
in the
with
family.
the sign of Slow Celine telling you as
So
much.
we're in the 2 entry.
This minigame would be like if Security Breach's Roxy Raceway had an actual driving section instead of just a cutscene, because you will be transported to a go-kart, and from there, you will need to drive around the track as fast as you can, and if you finish 3 laps
you're
in
telling-
a certain time.
I don't do FNAF. Are you telling me that their racing-themed area in the game doesn't actually have you race, but is rather a cutscene? Why? That makes no sense.
Window, you will win your second Opila egg. The next one is the mini golf zone, and this would be themed off of Stinger Flynn with an aquatic
Stinger
theme
Flynn.
for the different areas. There would be another button and another sign telling you to start the game. Here you would actually have to play mini golf, something kind of like Golf with Friends or the Monty Golf mini games from Security Breach, so you'll have to actually play golf for this section. And here, you'll need to get a low enough
We're gonna
score
talk about
because
the new
that's how
image
golf works,
later.
in order to win your third Opila egg. Last up is the arcade zone, and this is themed off of Jumbo Josh. Yet another button starts the game, and Jumbo Josh's wall art next to the button will have him saying his iconic, "I'm Jumbo Josh, bruh." This game would have you
That's not even a phrase that says in the
play
game, but
through
okay.
3 different yet simple arcade games, none of which I felt like coming up with any ideas for because I couldn't really care less. And if you win all 3, you will then get your last Opila egg. After collecting all 4 eggs, you can return to Opila Bird and place them in her nest. She will then spit out an access pass, allowing you to access the Banban ball pit. Heading over, you can enter in and find a large room with several decently sized ball pits and some of those like colorful climbing equipment-y things.
I know where the Jumbo Josh bruh thing is, but that's not even a joke the Euphoric Brothers have made in the game. So it's weird to have it there. Like, not a complaint, just like weird to hear that be like his big quote.
Colorful climbing and find a large room with several decently sized ball pits and some of those like colorful climbing equipment-y things that you can crawl around in. Once inside, you may notice that
So it's not going to be a bottomless ball pit. Okay,
isn't
that's
a
another
button
important
here for you
detail.
to press. You will need
Glad
to
he
walk
actually
around.
mentioned
Once you find an admin key card that is sitting in one of the tubes, you will see the lights turn off and you will hear footsteps. Riley will then turn on her flashlight and say that every good urban explorer always keeps one handy. You can now look around, but you need to keep your eyes open. Somewhere in the dark, something hunts you. She moves when you aren't shining a light on her or when you aren't looking. It's Opila Bird and she's here. For this area, you need to find conveniently placed emergency breakers and flip them up. For this area, you need to find conveniently placed
did he-
emergency breakers and flip
Did he not? Oh, wow.
them back on,
Normally
All well-
when I have that type of flub in video, I edit it out.
avoiding Opila Bird. However, the longer you take here, the faster Opila Bird gets when you aren't looking.
Ooh.
You need to flip 5 breakers, and the lights would then come back
Funny enough,
on,
I had an
allowing
idea
you to
for something like
leave
that
and leaving
just
Opila
yesterday.
Bird trapped inside. Back in the main hallway, the last door directly at the end of the hall, which is the one that you're
They should
right
have
next
fixed the
to,
drone, yeah.
is where you can use the key card. Riley would say
I am
something
disappointed
generic
they did
like,
not
"What
try to
was
use the
that?
drone."
Was that trying to attack me? Is that bird part of the attraction?" Stuff like that. Going into the admin office, you will find a room with a few desks and chairs in it. On the far side of the room is a comically large button. Pressing it reveals a large doorway. Pressing it reveals a hidden doorway, and it opens to reveal an elevator. And think of an elevator with like sort of a metal mesh cage around it, and not whatever base Banban actually had. Getting on the elevator, you press a button.
I think it would
and
be
starts
nice
to
if
go
it was
down.
like a mixture between
Riley
the
is super
two,
confused and
the elevator
asks
and the
herself
lift.
why this place would have a hidden elevator. As it descends, darkness surrounds it, and we hear strange noises. The elevator then shakes before stopping. A cutscene would start, with Riley frantically looking around at the flashlight. We would then see the large green hand of Jumbo Josh, and he swings to hit the top of the elevator, sending it crashing down. The last shot would show the wrecked elevator at the bottom, and we zoom out to see the 2 party hats of Banban. End credits!
After watching that part, I asked my chat how they felt about the rewrite, and the consensus was that it was alright. And the reason why it wasn't an improvement comes down to 3 flaws. Number 1. Some important details were left vague. As you saw, I had a big reaction to the out-of-nowhere reveal that Sheriff Toaster was in the Final Family. Establishing which characters made it into the Final Family is important to the lore and for Toaster's characterization. Toaster's distrust for humans comes from being abandoned when he didn't make the cut. This left me wondering how Roy Hebrew will handle Sheriff Toaster in the future, but we will have to set that to the side until we meet Sheriff Toaster. Number 2. It didn't feel like Banban. Now, the first game is the entry that honestly is the least Banban-like, but the rewrite came off as more generic than the original. One of my favorite moments from the original game is when Opila Bird approaches the player before her chase. This moment was purposely designed to make Opila feel like a real predator, analyzing her prey before attacking. This makes the moment more unsettling as the player doesn't know what she is doing. A lot of times I've seen people think it was a Weeping Angel moment, when in reality it was just Opila moving over a preset path. Now, this unique section is just a traditional Weeping Angel section. That feels like a loss. Number 3. It didn't have as big a hook or intrigue as the original game, as it did nothing to set up further plot points. One of the big things was the bottomless ball pit, which is liminal and unsettling, but is actually important. The ball pit collapsed, sending everything into chaos and causing everyone to disappear in the original series. Before the answer was given, we had this For You tape, which gave us a hint that something big broke, causing chaos. This is a mystery that creates intrigue, which is later answered, and helps create a cohesive narrative, knowing that there was meaning to this bottomless ball pit. Now, he did say some stuff is still there, even if he didn't mention it, like the sharing is caring, your pancreas is mine. So it's possible for the For You tape to still exist. But for now, let's set that to the side, because the day I watched the first part, he uploaded part 2. Let me just say, this is where things went downhill.
Guys, how's it going? And welcome to part 2 of my Banban rewrite series. Now, for those who are new or need a refresher, I am rewriting Banban into my own version of the series. So that means new lore, characters, gameplay, story, the whole kit caboodle. Now, a key aspect of the series is how I handle the feel of it. While many try to make Banban scary, I want to lean more into like the fun and wacky side of things, while making it a little—
Which you didn't do like a very over-the-stand top of with the first part. That was just something that kind of felt not Banban-y. So I'm wondering how well he'll do with this part.
a little more grounded so that it isn't too insane. Banban as a whole is essentially just a clone of various other mascot horror games and other tropes, and I like to lean into that kind of stuff, including a lot of that here.
Because I think grounded can work with the fantastical elements, but it has to be like a silly grounded. You know, like being able to take the plot seriously, while still being over the top and crazy.
So a lot of things here will seem pretty simple, repetitive, or like they've been done before, and that is the ultimate point of things. Now, before we get into this, I want to briefly recap last time, and let's get into the story. The game opens with a cutscene of Riley waking up from the elevator crash. She crawls out of the wreckage and gets up dazed and injured. She would also talk about what attacked her, saying that it must have been that Jumbo Josh fella that she saw artwork of earlier. Riley would then turn around and use her—
Here's something that I was actually thinking about yesterday after our reaction. What is the point in having a character that talks if the character doesn't have any personality that adds to something that the player playing isn't already thinking already? There's not really much personality here. It's just generic lines that the player's already thinking. At that point, you don't need a character voice. You just need the person playing to be the voice for it themselves. Because they'll give ample reaction. That might change as we get more into this, but that's something I've noticed.
Flashlight to shine on a nearby wall. We see a doorway, and above it, it reads Research and Development, with a picture of Banban above that. Riley walks towards the door as the camera zooms in on Banban. Title card! We then get into the gameplay, having entered the R&D area. This lobby area would have a check-in desk and waiting seats. There would also be 3 doorways splitting off from this front office. Above
so it's like
each
a mix
door
between the
would
hub
be
and
a
the comm
sign
sector?
saying where it leads. The one on the left would say Research, the one on the right would say Development, and the one in the middle would be blank/missing. Riley would make a comment about how useful those signs are. After you walk up to each door, unable to open them as they are locked, the intercom would come on, and we are introduced to Banban. He wouldn't reveal that right away, instead saying that his name is Dr. Uthman, but it is Banban who is talking to us.
Okay,
so he would go on to—
I kind of like that change. I don't know how I feel about it if he's still on the portraying thing. I feel like he would try and keep it secret because he still believes himself to be at the movement, but I think that's like a decent enough change.
Explain that he's been trapped down here a long time, and that there are some terrible things that exist down here. But he has a plan.
Yeah, like
to
the
stop
spider
them,
we didn't get to
but he
see
needs our
because we
help.
completely missed
In
out on
return
that.
for helping him, he will help us leave this place. With little
Yeah, he believes he is Dr. Adam Uthman. Unless he's being sincere and doesn't, like, backstab the player here like he does in the original game, that would make sense. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Riley agrees. Banban would tell us that we need to go collect something from the research wing, but first there should be a radio that we can take somewhere in the main lobby. That way he doesn't have to use the intercom. Finding the radio behind the front desk, the doors to the research wing would open and we can enter. Heading inside, Banban would tell us that we need to be careful here. This place is infested with failed projects, and one wrong turn could kill us. Giving us our task for now, Banban says that somewhere in here should be a lab where they were developing a toxin designed to destabilize the experiments. Riley would speak up asking if that weird bird thing is one of said experiments.
But what's the toxin destroy the experiments? That doesn't make sense at all. Because, in lore, they were pretty against damaging the cases and experiments. Because they were expensive.
Banban would say that
there's like one of those little differences, and there's so many of them, that it feels like it's coming out to be a different story. So it doesn't feel like a rewrite, it feels like an AU. Which is something completely different.
It is, but there are countless others. Some are smarter, some are dumber, but there is one that is the smartest of them all. He seeks freedom and revenge on those who wronged him. That is who Banban is trying to take out. For now, we need to look around for the lab.
Who's setting up a big villain?
So this part would be the
Stinger
aimless wandering
Flynn, or
part
Sir
of the chapter,
or
and
Sir
you will need
Injin?
to search room by room for this lab. There are a bunch of interconnected hallways that are kind of zigzag all over the place, and a bunch of doors that you can open. However, you do need to be careful. Like the Banban doors, they have those little windows on them. You need to look at those in order to figure out which doors are safe. So if the lights are on and you can see inside the room, you're safe. If the lights are off and it's dark inside the room, you cannot enter those doors. Otherwise, you'll be jump scared and attacked, and you'll have to start the section over again. However, in here you can also find lore and different notes and that kind of stuff. And one note in particular would be of Dr. Uthman saying that his sister and her husband are expecting and they're hoping for a girl. This is lore hints that, in case you can't put together, reveals that our player character, Riley, would actually be the niece of Dr. Uthman. There's a family connection to the place. It's totally not necessary, but it's definitely something Banban would do.
Not really, unless it had narrative significance? That doesn't sound like a Banban thing to do. If Riley is Uthman's niece, then what happens with Zolphius? Yeah, Zolphius. That's another important thing. Are we changing Zolphius' lore? Because, once again, this feels more like an AU than a rewrite. It feels less like they're trying to take the story and make it more coherent, and more like, I just want to write my own story within an alternate version of that universe. Because that's really what's happening here.
But after you walk around for a bit, or you beeline it straight to the end of the big hallway, you'll stumble across a huge set of doors at the end of a super long hallway. Heading over, you'll realize that you'll need a key card. And you either found it while you were looking around, or if you didn't look around, you now have to go back and search room by room to find said key card. Either way, once you have the card,
what about hellish Banban lore?
You can use it on the door.
I assume we're gonna get to
open it to reveal the lab. Inside this insanely large room would be just a little push cart with some stereotypical science equipment on it, and a box next to the cart with big letters on it that read toxin. That is all.
Wouldn't that be put
in room. The rest of the room
in
is
like a security,
empty.
like a vault?
Going up to the container, you'll open it like it's Minecraft and grab out an ambiguous amount of the toxin vials, aka an unlimited supply of them that you'll use later on in the chapter. After grabbing the toxins, Riley would radio Banban, but we would only get static. Then, out of the vents in the walls and ceiling, a bunch of smaller nabs would start to pour into the room, starting our signature chase sequence. Running back through the hallways, we need to get back to the main lobby as quick as possible. Getting back there, the doors would shut behind us, and Banban will call us, asking if we're okay. Riley would say that she's fine, but we'll ask what we need to do next. Banban tells us that we need to go to the development area
what do I think
next,
Banban tells
as there's a thing there that we need.
That's in the thing.
It's a way for us to use
my
the
most popular
toxins
video.
to
I
defend
put my design for
ourselves.
that there.
We're getting a gun. With that, the doors open to the development wing, and we head inside. Entering the area, things seem surprising.
People in chat, let's try and keep the topics connected to the rewrite for now.
Clean and tidy, like someone has been maintaining the place. Banban will tell us that we need to look for the testing zone before he gets cut out by static. A deep voice over the radio tells us that we shouldn't have come down here, but now that we are here, he'll find a use for us. The
Sounds like
lights then
Singer
shut
Flynn.
off, and we can only use our flashlight. You are forced to walk for just a little bit until we come to a hallway. And at the end, barely visible, is
At this point, I think the guy who made this video just thinks the fourth just throwing random mascot horror tropes when they feel like it, which is literally what they don't do at all.
Bambolina. The flashlight will flicker, and she'll be right in front of our faces, kind of like a jump scare. The screen will then go black. This is the only part that's like attempting to even remotely be spooky, but it's also Bambolina, so she's not that scary. But this is the only part that's like actually attempting to be kinda spooky.
Trying to make a Bambolina classroom section scary is the wrong direction. Bambolina's canonically a dumb character. This is when you should be pulling out all the silly, not the scary. A gun in Banban is absolutely surprising. No, that part just seems on brand to me.
Riley wakes up and looks around the room. It would look like a classroom, but one that has a bunch of other random stuff thrown about the place. There's tables, chairs, and even a whiteboard, but the chairs are filled with random equipment and stuff like bowling pins and watering cans. Riley would look over to the far wall where we would see Bambolina standing there, who says that she's happy to see us awake. Riley asks what's going on, and Bambolina says that it's time for our testing. She needs to see how much we've learned. Context here that would be found in a note in the previous section would say that Bambolina was actually an instructor, somebody who would teach new workers what they had to do here. So she would call us up.
So, is she a completed case? This is like completely different.
That's when the test would start. It's a game, and it would be kind of like a Kahoot, where the board would change, asking a question and giving us 4 options to pick from as an answer. Now, instead of trying to guess the whole thing, there would actually be posters and writings on the walls around the classroom that would give us hints and answers, but this part is timed, so you need to be quick. Also,
okay, this seems like a fun
questions would
change.
be about the location and the type of door that you need to find in order to collect the gun, so that will be where we learn how to find that. The further you get with the questions, the more Bambolina would start to get mad. She doesn't want us to win, she wants to kill us. Why didn't she kill us before? Because she wanted to play a little game, and now she's upset that we're actually winning the game.
So at this point, you're just made Bambolina Mommy Longlegs. This just sounds like Mommy Longlegs. This doesn't sound like Bambolina. Bambolina's personality is that she loves to teach because it's what she's conditioned to do. She gets violent or aggressive if you get it wrong or misbehave. And that she's just dumb. Like, really, really dumb. That's her personality. This just sounds like Mommy Longlegs. But without all the... Yeah, I don't like this version of Bambolina. It seems generic. I mean, a part of Bambolina is somewhat generic, but... this is, like, super generic.
After getting all the questions right, Bambolina would get angry and transform into her own monster form, which is something that each experiment would have. We are then forced to do...
So each experiment... Hello. So each experiment has a hellish form? Okay.
Another signature chase sequence, escaping through the halls of the area. As we are being chased, we hear some signature noises of one certain character, and when we get cornered, Bambolina will start to walk up to us and is about to attack when none other than Jumbo Josh comes crashing.
That's just the ending.
Through a wall, beats up Bambolina, takes her with him, and continues his rampage through the area, leaving.
So how is it going to work later? Is
After catching her
just
breath,
gonna
Riley would remind herself where
calm?
the gun is. We now need to retrace our steps and find the door to the testing zone. Inside the room, on a pedestal in the middle of it, sits the gun. Definitely not a reference to
Bambolina wants you to get the answers right. And if you get it wrong, she punishes you. But she's not outright violent, to the point where she likes to kill. No, she only does that if you get a question wrong, or if you're misbehaving.
There would also be targets for us to shoot at, letting us practice with it just a little bit. Once we do have the gun though, Banban would call us through the radio, saying that he's managed to get through the interference. Riley says that she found the gun, and Banban tells us to head back to the lobby. He'll be there, waiting for us. We now need to return, following a series of signs telling us the direction back to the lobby. Getting back, we walk in, only to see Banban himself standing there. Riley would freak out, but Banban would explain who he is and why he...
I mean, if he wants all the monsters to have a hellish form, that's fine, but I feel like that should have been established in the first game, too. The big deal with hellish forms in the series is that they're occasional, and they're usually a big deal. And I mean, like, if you want the ideas for all the monsters to have a hellish form, that's fine. But I feel like that should have been established way earlier.
But Banban would explain who he is and why he had to lie to us. He didn't think that we'd help him if he told us that he was one of them. But now that we have the toxin gun, we can finally begin to make our way to what is known as the beach. It's where he resides. But Banban warns us that the journey there won't be easy. All but a few are swayed under his influence. That is why we have the toxins. The doors to the unlabeled hallway open, and we follow Banban inside.
The best way to describe how I felt about part 2 was what I said after finishing the reaction. Yeah, like the first one was mediocre, this one just feels disappointing. And there's one big reason for that. Me and Jack compared this rewrite to an AU, then an actual proper rewrite. The definition of an AU, according to the fanlore wiki, is alternate universe, is a descriptor used to characterize fan work which change one or more elements of the source work canon. The problem is that an AU suffers if the one writing it doesn't understand the source material, and the creator fundamentally doesn't understand what Banban is. He says in the video that he views Garten of Banban as a bunch of mascot horror tropes put together, which is the exact opposite of what Garten of Banban is. It's more of a trope breaker. One of the first compliments I gave to this series was for the breaking the "we were once human" trope. Garten of Banban doesn't do things the traditional way. It does it the Banban way. And the Banban way is adding stuff they want because they want to. The Euphoric Brothers write stuff in a way they think would be interesting or funny. I think the best example of the Euphoric Brothers adding something because they just wanted to is the appearance of Choo Choo Charles. This is a statement from Ty Coker, the voice of Bitter Giggle, during a partner live stream with Unique Geese.
From what I understand, they're just friends with the devs of Choo Choo Charles. So they had a funny idea to put Choo Choo Charles in the game.
They did it because they found it funny. And they don't just do something because they have an idea, they think about it and revise these ideas a bit as they develop the project. We know this because they have shared scrapped content via the Banban Chronicles. Not only does he not understand the lore, he said in another comment, "I'm not well versed in the Banban lore, nor do I really want to be. I'm sorry, but that's dumb. If you're trying to write a story in a pre-existing universe or franchise, you should understand the intentions and ideas of the creators, so that when you are adapting it, even if you make lots of changes, you understand what makes that piece of media special and important." The last thing I would like to address is the fact that this entry goes against what he said in the first part. In it, he says two things that stuck out to me. He wants to keep the main ideas and concepts from Banban and just rework them and keep as much of the core content as possible. He has butchered both. A lot of key ideas are either not mentioned if they're still canon, like the monsters not being former people but made with their genomes, or are completely missing, like the parent looking for their missing kid and the drone. I get that people don't like the latter, but you can still make it work. I have a video about how the drone should return that talks about that very topic, and he definitely has not kept much of the core content. I will now present a list of every gameplay section that was removed from this entry. The clock-in puzzle, all the medical sector stuff, the classroom intermissions, the Opila chick collection quest, slow scenes, red light, green light, everything from the beach room, and the parkour room. That's at least half of the original game's content removed and not even reworked. It feels like a completely different game. And sure, not having it be the same could be great. Making minor changes like how the gameplay of Banbalee's classroom was handled is beyond reasonable. But he instead removes all of it. I left a comment on the video talking about how I felt, and the response only further discouraged me. It's not at all like Banban, because I don't like almost anything about Banban. That's why. After that, I was worried about going into Garten of Banban 3 and 4, as they are where the franchise starts to figure out its identity. What will change in those entries? And would any part that made them as beloved as they are still remain? I would have to sit with those questions and fears for 2 weeks. And I didn't have much hope. So here we go. I've heard two very different things about this entry. One person said that it made it feel rushed. The other person said they actually liked it and thought it was much better than the previous ones.
Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to part 3 of my Banban rewrite series. Now, if you don't know or need a little bit of a refresher, I'm making a 4-part series rewriting some of the earlier chapters of Banban. Now, a lot of this is my own lore and my own new stuff that I'm adding. I'm changing a bunch of stuff around into a story that I think I like a little bit better. Essentially, this is if I made my own Banban games. Now, I know my first 2 parts were a little iffy, so I'm hoping this one is a bit better. I tried my best to keep a lot more of the original stuff and to work it into something that I also would still like. So I'm thinking it's the best one so far. I'm hoping. But anyways, I don't want to make the intro too long. You know, I want to get to the actual story itself. The chapter starts with a cutscene of Riley and Banban entering into what he calls the facility. Now, we wouldn't actually see Riley's player model here, and said it would be kind of shadowed or hidden away so that you don't get to see the full thing. But we do get to see Banban, and he tells us that this is where the inner workings of the whole facility are. Like everything the above ground, everything else here, this is the inner workings of it. Riley would then be heard running ahead as the camera moves in on Banban's face. Title card!
Okay.
The gameplay starts with us in the hub. It's basically a waiting area with a map of the 4 main locations of this chapter, this Banban game, Banban 3. There is a gondola-like system that would be able to bring you to each part of the area, and there are 4 main total areas: water treatment, the labs, main storage, and the zone. Banban would tell us that in order to access the beach and get to him, we need to go to each area and activate that area's respective system override to unlock the main gate, which is located in water treatment.
Wait, what did I miss for Banban 2? Long story short, we got a gun.
So the gameplay of this chapter would involve us heading to each of these areas to complete.
Okay, so basically, what this is this is basically just the Chapter 6 system, and we aren't planning on meeting Stinger Flint till the end? I'm iffy about that. I think meeting Stinger Flint early on and him becoming a consistent figure that engaged is what makes him such a strong character, but this could be better.
These tasks like any other Banban game. From here, Banban would tell us that we are going to start our mission with the labs, as he knows where the system override is there. Using the gondola system, Riley and Banban would travel.
No, the entire plot of the previous game is Banban tells us to get a gun. That is the entire plot of the previous entry. Basically, to summarize it up.
Over a large pool of water.
Wow,
so
getting rid of like half the charm
from
of the
Chapter 3.
game.
Instead of it being a large void, it's a large void of water. I think it would just look a little cooler than it just being empty. So that's just a slight change there. So it's just a big, vast pool of water. Getting to the labs, Banban would tell us that this place is where they were all made.
Riley is the name that they've given to the player character.
He doesn't know exactly how they did it or the processes behind it, but he's been around the longest as he was their very first experiment. This is my own lore. This is not reflective of the base game's lore. Here, we would be led by Banban through the hallway areas as he knows where the system override is. We would reach it, and upon activating it, we would turn around and see the larger version of Nab Nab staring at us. I say larger version because there were smaller ones in the last part. Banban would tell us to run, and we would be forced into a kind of chase sequence where we follow Banban as Nab Nab chases us. It ends as we follow Banban into a room, and he goes to hold the door shut. Looking around, we can see the body of Nabnalina on an operating table, and Banban would tell us that this is what he was looking for. He goes on to explain that Nab Nab has always been lonely, and that the scientists were working on a partner for him. They had initially tried to make smaller versions of him, the ones I mentioned in the last part, but that didn't really work out as they had hoped. So this part, gameplay-wise, would consist of almost the exact same kind of thing as the base game, where we would have to bring Nabnalina to life, but Banban is here giving us in-person instructions as we go, and this part would be timed, as if we take too long, Nab Nab would break in and he would jump scare us. But after we go...
I think Nab Nab coming in and breaking it down and trying to attack the player makes much more sense besides Nabnalina somehow waking up.
Through the whole puzzle and we bring Nabnalina to life, a cutscene would start where Nab Nab breaks in, only to see Nabnalina standing there, and the two would kind of stare at each other for a while. They do like the mirror motions. They're trying to figure each other out before they leave. Banban would say that
I like this much better.
Nab is finally happy
Nab-Nab's
and not
loneliness.
alone. And no, Nabnalina does not beat up Nab Nab. He gets to actually be happy because I'm giving justice and happiness to my man Nab Nab. He deserves it. With that done, Banban leads us.
Nabnalina doesn't beat up Nab Nab. Nab Nab gets taken away. What? Complete misunderstanding the story beat.
Out of the area and back to the gondola. The next area we go to is storage, and here Riley and Banban enter a huge room full of storage shelves and racking. Tons of supplies and other random stuff litter the shelves and the floor. Banban says that he doesn't know where the system override is, but he's assuming it's on the far side of the room. We need to make our way through the maze-like shelves, eventually getting to the end of the room. We activate the system override, which was there, and we go to leave, but that is when we encounter Slow Celine. Banban would ask why she's here, and Slow Celine would tell us that he wants us, and that she's been sent here to bring us in. Banban would tell us to run, and this is where an actual chase sequence would begin. Most of the lights in the room would go out, and we are forced to run through this dark maze as Slow Celine chases us. One wrong turn, and we get jumped. But we successfully make it out.
So basically, it's just the Nab Nab chase. Okay.
And Riley would ask why they have so many weird and random creatures here, and Banban would say that he has no clue.
Oh, cool.
Getting back on the gondola, a cutscene would start where we get on before Banban says that something's wrong. A huge orange tentacle would rise up and grab the gondola. Another one would be shown reaching towards Banban, who tells us to run. We turn before a third one moves in front of us. A deep voice is heard, telling us that he needs to show us why. It then moves towards us, and the screen goes dark. Riley wakes up and asks what's going on. Turning around, we see a normal-sized Stinger Flynn, who's just about our height. We're on a beach, and the waves are lightly hitting the shore. Riley asks where we are, and Stinger Flynn tells us that this is where he seeks to be.
Okay, so we're keeping Stinger Flynn's motivations, which I'm great. So this is practically probably going to play out the same. Oh my gosh, I was so worried for the scene. I was so worried. So I'm glad that this is a bit better. I think Stinger Flynn this far into the game is a bit iffy, though.
Wants to leave the facility and live in the real world, but they never let him. He's always been different from the other experiments. He's smarter, he's stronger, he's better, and the scientists took advantage of that. They kept adding more and more Givanium to increase his size and his intellect. It's become too much for him, but it's too late to reverse that now. He does, however, have a plan on how to leave this place. It's almost ready, but he needs our help. As we fade out of the dream, he tells us to consider his offer of helping him.
Wait. So does he have the kids or not? And also, why couldn't he be able to leave? I'm guessing maybe it's a big door thing.
Waking back up, Riley looks around, but Banban is nowhere to be seen. Using the radio, she tries to talk to him, but can't get a response.
Also, didn't we spend the entire last chapter getting a gun? Why the heck have we not used it? Is the specialized gun just sitting in our pocket being like, yeah, I can destroy these creatures pretty powerfully, but you aren't gonna use me because plot reasons?
Push forward with their original plan, we set out to the next area, the zone. Once there, we walk over to a large doorway with a "Do Not Enter" sign on it. Looking around, we can find a key card and use it to enter the area. Inside, the place is dark, and just in front of us, there's a button panel. We can press it and it activates a row of lights leading towards another button panel. However, it also reveals a weird, misshapen creature that scurries away. We need to follow the path, but we aren't left alone. Those creatures will try to attack us, and we need to use the toxin gun, which we got in the last part, to fend these things off. Also, these creatures would kind of be like the naughty ones from Banban 6 or whatever, kind of just a little way to include them. Following the path, which disappears after we activate the next button, we can finally reach the system override. Activating it, we follow the same steps back, and we almost make it out of there until a cutscene starts where a swarm of the creatures block our path, and we see a doorway open in the distance. We need to make a mad dash to the open door, and as the creatures chase us, we run in, and the door closes behind us. In this next area, we are forced to make our way towards water treatment by foot, traveling through the back hallways of the facility. Following signs and arrows, we eventually stumble across a large makeshift nest of some kind. Looking inside, we can see a bunch of broken eggs with one still intact. We are prompted to grab it, and Riley picks it up. The egg begins to hatch and reveals the baby bird. Riley would panic for just a second, thinking of Opila Bird, before baby bird would jump out of her hands and snuggle up next to our leg. Yes, we do get to see the player model in game, just the legs. Riley then says that this baby bird isn't so bad, and the two of us set out.
Okay.
Continuing through the area, you'll suddenly hear a burst of static from the radio. Riley will ask if Banban is there, and we will hear Banban on the other end, saying that he's here. Something is off about his voice, though. It's a little strange. Banban goes on to say that he escaped from his encounter with Stinger Flynn. If he, Banban, is where he thinks he is, we should be close by. We just need to continue heading towards the water treatment plant. Riley says that that's what she's doing, and she'll try to get there as soon as she can. The radio static's out, and we carry on. Solving a quick puzzle using an odd clothes rack thing that says Banban quotes, we open up a door and are face to face with Opila Bird and Tarda Bird.
Okay, so we're not gonna say what the puzzle is?
A cutscene starts and the two move closer until Riley, panicking, shows them Baby Bird, saying that she found their baby. Opila and Tarda stop and Baby Bird runs over to them. Alpila Bird then approaches us before she bows her
I like
head
this.
towards Riley, and Riley gives her a little pat on the head.
I
Riley
like
would then
that.
say
I
something
like that.
about that being easier than she thought it would be. Baby Bird then jumps up on Tarta's back.
That's kind of like what I've been wanting to happen. One sequences I've been wanting to happen since Little Beak first showed up.
And we walk with Alpila Bird heading through the room they were in and into the water treatment area. Heading inside, we find ourselves in another huge room, like with the gondola system, and it's so big that we can't see the other side of it. It also is filled with dark water that you can't see the bottom of.
Ooh.
To the left side of the room we are in is a large set of double doors. Walking over, we find it locked. That's when a new cutscene starts. The room shakes, and the birds back away from the railing, scared. Riley walks over cautiously, and that's when we see a huge orange tentacle rise up and grab onto the ground, breaking part of the railing. Another one rises and does the same as two more grab onto the walls. That's when the huge shape of Stinger Flynn rises up, and his one large eye focuses on us. We get to see the sheer scale of Stinger Flynn. He would then talk to us, saying that he's disappointed that we didn't accept his offer to help him. However, he did plan our every step.
You never gave us a
and he
choice
is right
to.
where he wants us to be. Riley speaks up, asking where Banban is. Stinger Flynn says that he never really liked the name Banban. It always hid what Banban was always meant to be. His true potential. No, he always preferred the name Devil. Stinger Flynn then lifts up Devil Banban, who's shaking and screeching uncontrollably.
Oh.
Stinger Flynn drops Devil Banban on the ground in front of us, and Riley, in a scared voice, says, "Banban?" We are then scooped up by Alpila Bird, who has us ride on her back. She runs over to the door, entering the pink light, causing the door to open. Devil Banban gets up and starts the chase. This chase is almost the exact same as the base game's chase, with us having to speed up or slow down, depending on the light in front of the door. Devil Banban chases us and would spew out lines about us,
Hellish.
saying that we betrayed him and so on and so forth. After getting through the last door, Alpila Bird drops us off in front of a set of stairs and turns back to face Devil Banban, alongside Tarta and Baby Bird. We run up the set of stairs and we can hear bird squawks and Devil Banban laughing. Heading through the doorway at the top, we run down a hallway and reach a larger room. On the far
But
side
why
of this room
separate?
is an elevator with a sign that says "To Surface" above it. Riley speaks, saying that she might be able to leave, as she isn't sure what she can do about Banban now. We then see the room shake and hear a familiar groaning sound. Riley then turns to look at one of the larger doors on the far wall. The shaking stops before the door breaks open and Jumbo Josh charges the screen for an end-of-game jump scare. The end.
I was encouraged quite a bit by the third part. It had become clear that Raiji Bro 3 was at least listening to the discontentment from the Garten of Banban fans watching. But there still are some problems, like some of the most memorable elements being excluded. The card dream sequence is a staple of the franchise, and Banban's hellish form has no foreshadowing outside the lore notes he never talks about. But there is one big issue with this part, and is the next fundamental failure of this rewrite. It fundamentally fails to have an interesting story or hook. While the writing of the main series gets iffy, with it not being fully planned out and some of the main arcs feeling disconnected, the main plot of the story can be described as this. A parent dives deep into their kid's kindergarten in the secret facility underneath because their child is missing. However, their attempt to rescue them goes awry as they get stuck deeper into the conflicts of the facility's inhabitants, which they must help solve so they can continue their rescue and save their child. There is a hook, with the parent looking for their missing child, that is the central conflict. But there are a bunch of other conflicts that the parent finds themselves in, and they have a motivation to engage with these conflicts because they are actively making their quest harder. They can't search the facility if the naughty ones are hunting down anything that isn't under their father's control, and searching the facility with a bounty on their head isn't much better. In this version, the hook is just Riley's exploring an abandoned building to which he has no real good connection to. They don't have someone connected to it, nor is it a place they have nostalgia for, and the one stated in-universe connection with her uncle who worked there isn't connected to the plot at all. The conflict is that Stinger Flynn wants to escape the facility and destroy it behind him, which is a good conflict. But the problem is, Riley doesn't have a motivation or reason to engage with it. Her first instinct at the end of part 3, where she sees an exit to the surface, is, I can finally get out of here. So while she has gotten roped up in this conflict, she has no reason for her to reasonably engage with it. These issues can be fixed by changing the hook. Riley explores the abandoned building, hoping to learn more about her uncle, who disappeared when she was young. She loved her uncle a lot and felt like a part of her life was missing. Now she has a motivation to stop Singer Flynn. If Singer Flynn destroys the facility, she can never learn more about her uncle. Luckily, this part was still decent, so most of my big worries were gone, and I could instead think about the awesome Garten of Banban stuff, as next week the 2.0 update came out for the main game, and the week after that the final part was uploaded, and I got ready to see if this series would end strong. Hopefully this is a strong ending. It's been rough so far, to say the least, but I'm hoping that we can end it strong and that we can have a good time.
/ the finale of my Banban
Let's keep it on topic to this.
rewrite series. Now, it's been a bit of a rocky road getting from there to here.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, this series has been just a bit more of a fun, random take on things rather than a super serious attempt to rewrite Banban. I've just been essentially having fun with this, coming up with wacky ideas that I wouldn't necessarily be able to use in any other rewrite setting. So I think with that context in mind, keep in mind that this isn't an overly serious attempt at rewriting Banban. This is just having a bit of fun with stuff using the Banban IP.
The problem is with this is it doesn't really feel like you're using the Banban IP. You're just putting the Banban IP over a generic thing.
But with that said, I don't want to waste too much time on this intro. I want to get into things and get into the finale and all that kind of stuff. The chapter starts with a cutscene of Stinger Flynn, who is talking to Devil Banban. They're in this kind of shadowy room, and Stinger Flynn says something about how their plan is almost ready. It's only a matter of time until they can leave. The camera then zooms in on Devil Banban. Telecard! The gameplay opens with an in-game cutscene with our character Riley opening her eyes after having been knocked out. We find ourselves at a table, and the room around us is a rather large room. There are several playing blocks and other toys that look like...
So basically what we're doing is we're doing the thing again where we move the mini games from entry to entry.
Like they'd be kids' toys, but on a much larger scale. Across the
I like
table
that
from
idea.
us, we can see Bambolina sitting there. Bambolina will tell us that we are trapped down here, and thanks to us, she's down here as well. Riley would then apologize for that, but would also state that she wasn't the one chasing people around, so it's really not entirely her fault.
Except why would Bambolina have the reason to agree or work? The reason why it works earlier is because Bambolina isn't instinctively violent. In your rewrite, she's instinctively wanting to cause violence and wanting to kill.
Bambolina, kind of realizing this, then calms down for a second before telling us that this place is where Jumbo Josh is kept. She would also tell us that he comes back here to this room periodically, and we need to make sure that we are back in our seats and everything is back to normal before he arrives. So this area is the Jumbo Josh dollhouse thing from, I think, Banban 3, where you have to try to escape, move stuff around, but also make sure everything goes back into the right place and you're back in your seat before Jumbo Josh arrives. I thought it'd be kind of fun to have the opening act of this part be this section. But the one small change is, well, the one change is that the room's entirely different, but the other small change is that we are going around having to unlock door locks in order for us to be able to open the main door. So once we get all of the door locks open, we can take Bambolina with us and escape through the main door and escaping into another room outside of it. So this room that we escape into would have an elevator on one side, and then opposite of where we enter from is another doorway. Bambolina would head over to the elevator, and as it goes down, she would thank us for helping her escape. Now trying to head through the doorway in front of us, we approach it before it suddenly opens, and we come face to face with Sheriff Toadster. He would start approaching us, saying a few antagonizing words before Bitter Giggle appears and tells Sheriff Toadster to back down because we are the ones that they were going to find because we're here to help.
Okay. I do think that is nice. Not having Bitter Giggle be antagonistic if we're ending it off in the fourth part. So I think them working together and be allies is nice.
A bit of exposition that follows this, but essentially the two of them would tell us that they were working with Banban as sort of a secret resistance in order to try to stop Stinger Flynn from essentially blowing everything up, because that's what his machine is essentially going to do.
Oh.
They say that they have another way to stop Stinger Flynn, and it is a thing called desynchrobanium. It's essentially a modified version of the toxin, whereas instead of you shooting one of the experiments and they destabilize and die, instead the desynchrobanium would sort of counteract any excess givanium. So for prime example here, enough of it would be able to bring Stinger Flynn back down to a normal regular size. So it's essentially a more humane way to help save
So basically how givanium.
the experiments. But that is what we are going to be after. Of course, in typical Banban fashion, the things that we need to go get are in several different locations, and we have our main 3 objectives that Sheriff Toadster and Bitter Giggle would tell us about. We have to go to the dunes, the pier, and the waterfront, and they're all obviously named after locations that you would find at a beach.
Okay.
Once we go to these 3 areas and we get the desynchrobanium, everything set up, we can go confront Stinger Flynn at the shore. Starting off with the dunes, this place would be a huge storage room of givanium, and there would be literal dunes of the stuff throughout this huge room. But we need to be cautious. Not only do we have to avoid touching the givanium, which the longer we stand in it, the more it poisons us and eventually we would die, but we also have our first run-in with Captain Fiddles. This version of him has been feeding on the givanium in the room, and he has grown and mutated into a much larger and monstrous form. With this growth, he has lost his sight, but has enhanced hearing.
So it's
if you run
basically
through this area, it
a
would
blind
alert him, but he also roams around, meaning that you need to
he's
steer
basically a
clear
blind
of his path.
enemy.
After winding through the piles of givanium and avoiding Captain Fiddles, you'll reach the doorway to cold storage, where we will find our test samples of the desynchrobanium. After collecting some, we go to leave when Bitter Giggle, who has been whispering to us the whole time, lets out a joke and starts laughing, which alerts Captain Fiddles and starts the only chase sequence of this game. Running back through the path, clumps of givanium
that would
are
happen.
about, and we eventually manage to reach the exit, escaping back into the winding corridors of the facility. Our next mission is at the pier. This location is actually where a bunch of the heavy and large equipment that was used to create givanium is kept and was
Create
used.
givanium? That's
It kinda
very
makes
different.
This place look like a pier because all the equipment is kind of fantastical, almost like it's a attraction of some kind, weird, different shapes, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of has the look of a pier.
I like that.
Here, we venture into the room, looking for new ammo canisters to put the desynchrobanium into, because we have to have a way to actually shoot it. All 3 of us, including Sheriff Toadster and Bitter Giggle, would be looking around the room for said canisters, and the other 2 do actually have the potential to find them, so you might not actually find them, but one of the other 2 would, and so they're actually helpful. They're like actually helpful companions. They're not just sitting around here. But after you or somebody else finds the container of the canisters that we need, we can collect some, only to see a large, static, and distorted face staring at us from the dark, because this room is incredibly dark.
Zolfius?
It's Zolfius, and they're here. Although this Zolfius is a little different. Zolfius here is a much smaller form, not being as huge as actual Zolfius, which takes away from some of the presence, though they are still larger than Jumbo Josh. And here we get to see all of Zolfius. Well, you might not see all of Zolfius at the same time, but Zolfius is much more snake-like, slithering around the room instead of just being a sort of static presence. And Zolfius
So he's an
can
antagonistic
see,
force.
but can't hear. So kind of like a flip of Captain Fiddles, Zolfius will see us if we're moving around too much and if we're not hiding from them
like
when they
that.
slither through, but they also can't hear us, meaning that we can talk or we can run around if need be. But eventually, we can make it past Zolfius, and all 3 of us will make our way back out through the exit. Once we've escaped, we can head off to the final mission before the end. Going to the waterfront, this area is where much of the personnel would have stayed, making this their actual home. So this area would have
like a housing
homes
sector.
and offices and stuff like that, actual buildings built underground in this room. I imagine that the room itself would look kind of like something out of the back rooms, where there's like fake sky texture painted on and actual houses, but all built in a room underground.
I love a liminal vibe.
In this area, though, there's also an emergency weapons storage room. That is where we are trying to go. Sheriff Toadster knows where it is, but the room is extremely flooded, and so we will need to be careful going through this area. He leads us up a set of stairs into an observation balcony that allows us to get onto the rooftops of said houses and offices, causing us to have to kind of like parkour our way through this area above the deep, dark water because this room is relatively dark. But Stinger Flynn is onto us, and his tentacles are kind of like weaving their way through the water, sometimes occasionally swinging up to try to catch us off guard. But if we make our way through this area, we will approach another balcony where we'll jump onto it, following Sheriff Toadster down to the weapon storage room, where we will get an upgrade for our gun, allowing us to shoot the desynchrovanium shots. Making our way back through, across the rooftops, we eventually reach the balcony we entered the room from, but turn around to see one of the tentacles reaching towards us, and causes us to enter a dream.
Yes!
We awake to find ourselves sitting by a campfire. Across from us sits Stinger Flynn. He says that he's not familiar with this setting, but he saw it in our mind and thought that it would be a good place to talk. He goes on to say that he has his way out planned, and that he hopes we don't try to stop him. He's searched our mind, and we seem to be a good person. He is willing to spare us if we leave him alone. Riley speaks up, saying that she's got a cure to help him. Stinger Flynn sighs and says that it's too late for him now. He's giving us a second chance, but this will be our last one. With that, we exit the dream. Reawakening, Sheriff Toadster
and so nothing
Bittergiggle
of interest happens besides this conversation. Okay, that's fine enough.
We're okay. Riley says that she thinks that she can actually save Stinger Flynn. With that, the trio rolls out to the shore. We follow Sheriff Toadster through a maze of hallways until we reach a large set of doors. He tells us that this is it. Heading inside, we find a massive room with tons of machinery covering the walls, floor, and ceiling. In a large opening on the far side of the room sits Stinger Flynn. Walking further in, we are then confronted by none other than Devil Banban himself. Stinger Flynn tells Devil Banban to back down, but he doesn't listen. It's boss fight time. So this boss fight consists of us having to avoid Devil Banban's attacks.
So Hellish Banban isn't actually that interesting.
He can
it's
either
just
charge at you fast, or with his mutating Givanium, he can sort of send out tendrils from his arms that can stun you or grab you and keep you in place. He can also grab and throw stuff at us, causing us to have to constantly move out of the way, otherwise he will hit us. What we need to do is use our gun to hit him with the desynchrovanium, but he has a chance to block our attacks, and we need to be lucky with our shots, easier to hit him from behind once he's charged past us. Once we've gotten 3 hits on Banban, a cutscene would start, where Banban collapses onto the ground writhing in pain. Sheriff Toadster and Bittergiggle tell us to go to Stinger Flynn, and that they'll take care of Banban. Riley walks over to Stinger Flynn, and she asks for one more dream. He complies, and we enter. Here, we are back on a beach, although this one is one from Riley's memory. She tells Stinger Flynn that she lives close by to a coast, and that there would be enough space for all of them there. She can save everyone. They don't need to hide anymore. They don't need to take revenge.
Except she has no emotional attachment to any of these characters.
What matters now is that they can have a future. Stinger Flynn says that he's never met another human quite like us. He takes our offer. Exiting the dream, we then get a final cutscene, where we help Stinger Flynn shrink back down, using the desynchrovanium. We also talk to Banban, who thanks us for not giving up on him. Riley smiles before the screen
Except we
fades out.
literally did. We ran away, and we didn't engage with him afterwards.
It fades back in with everyone sitting next to each other on the beach. And I mean like everybody. You got Stinger Flynn, you got Banban, you got Bambalina, you got Nab Nab and Nabnalina, Sheriff Toadster, you got like all of them there. Everybody's sitting there next to each other, enjoying the sun as it sets. They are all now free. A happy ending.
And that's stupid. Now, I'm going to be honest. The happy ending with all the characters is how I always saw this series ending. Except more bittersweet because a lot of them are dead now, and not them leaving the facility because it would make more sense to put a life for themselves there. The problem is that this ending is weak because of the final fundamental flaw. He fundamentally doesn't understand the characters. The characters in this rewrite aren't as complex, and I'm just not as invested in them, and that's bad. Especially because 4 is the entry that does the most character work by far, with 4 major characters all getting a chance to reveal more about themselves. To really show how much more interesting and deep the cast is in the original, I'm going to compare them with this handy chart, which shows what I believe are the 3 most important things needed for creating characters with stories that the audience will get invested in. Number 1, what are the flaws and weaknesses of a character? Number 2, what is their personal conflict? And 3, what are their needs and wants? And to make it fair, I'm going to compare the rewrite versions to what we knew about the characters by 4. Sheriff Toaster in the original has the flaw of trust issues, specifically with humans who he sees as criminals. His personal conflict is that he hasn't truly moved on from the pain of being abandoned by the humans that made him. And he wants to be a good sheriff that protects justice, which he does by being the bodyguard for Queen Bonsilia. In the rewrite, he has no explained flaw, he doesn't have any established or personal conflicts, and we don't really know what he wants except for stomping Stinger Flint. Queen Bonsilia in the original has the flaw of being too self-sacrificing to the point she endangers her life and in turn others. Her personal conflict is that she feels lonely and in turn, she wants more companionship. In the rewrite, she just doesn't exist. Banban in the original has the flaws of his anger issues that turn him into a monster and being oblivious about his past. His personal conflicts are that he feels like everyone suddenly has turned against him and that he has a monstrous form he can't control that hurts people. He needs to be able to control his hellish form or be rid of it, and he wants to help the surrounding people. In the rewrite, he has the flaw of a monster form, which is his personal conflict, but he doesn't have the want to help people, which makes the pain of hurting others so significant to him in the original, and we aren't sure how long he has dealt with it or how it hurts them. Then we have Stinger Flint, who has the flaws of being pessimistic, having anger and sorrow issues, and no moral compass. His personal conflict is that he doesn't feel at home with an intelligent mind and living in this facility. Because of that, he wants to be a normal jellyfish and return to the beach where he belongs. In the rewrite, his flaw is that he is willing to do horrible things to get in his way. His personal conflict is that he feels tortured by the ones who made him because of how special he was, and he wants to leave the facility behind as rubble. Finally, we have Bitter Giggle, who has the flaw of being mentally unstable from being alone for so long. His personal conflict is that he wants to fulfill his purpose to be a jokester, and he needs the fulfillment from finding an audience for his jokes. In the rewrite, he has the potential flaw of telling jokes at the worst possible times, he has no established personal conflict, and wants to stop Stinger Flynn, which is a goal that the rest of the protagonist cast shares. The characters in this rewrite are less interesting, and that makes this ending feel less special. The only character with any sense of finished writing for me is Stinger Flynn, with the others feeling underbaked or not baked at all. That made their role in the story feel uninteresting, as many boiled down to generic guiding allies. And the ending was not as impactful as it could have been, because they didn't overcome some enormous struggles. The final video ended with an epilogue of sorts where he added a bunch of stuff, so I'll show my reaction in response to that before we close this case study.
Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video and everything that it had to offer. I know that it probably wasn't the best one. I think the third one is still probably my favorite out of these 4. But
I think the first one was the best.
I concluded my Banban rewrite series in a way that I wanted to, and that I had kind of planned on from day one. But I do also want to talk about the actual series itself, because I know this one has been, I would probably say, the most controversial series I've done on the channel.
Yes.
And I do want to talk about that, at least just a little bit. I know some people haven't been big fans, and there's been some people who are kind of, I don't want to say upset, but not happy with my Banban rewrites. A lot of times it's because it's just not base Banban, and I think in a way that is a fair argument.
The problem isn't that it isn't base Banban, it's that it's not Banban in its nature. It's not Banban natured.
Not combat to that, but my kind of like reasoning for these changes is that this is just a fun take on things. I'm not trying to say that like all of my changes here make a better Banban game or that like whatever. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Banban in the first place. I'm not saying these would be more exciting to play. I'm just trying to have a bit of fun with
I honestly don't think these would be much more interesting myself.
things and come out with just random different ideas and that kind of stuff. And this was a fun outlet to use stuff that I wouldn't be able to use in like the FNAF or the Poppy Playtime rewrites, where those are a bit more serious. I take a lot more serious time working on those and like coming up with a much more serious story. This is much more fun, and I think...
Except the fun part of it doesn't seem fun. It just seems generic. That's really what's happened. You haven't gotten either the serious elements of the series, nor the funny elements of the series. Both of those feel like they're gone.
At the end of the day, that's what Banban is really all about. It's just fun, wacky, random ideas. Honestly, I'd probably enjoy the Banban games more if I went back and played them again. I haven't played them in a long time.
Oh, definitely, go and play. You know what? Dude, if you're seeing this, which is when I do a video, email me. We'll do a collab stream, and I'll bring the Banban wackiness and seriousness to it.
We would enjoy them a little more, because I think at the end of the day, that's what Banban is really all about. It's just having a bit of fun and being a bit silly along the way. And that's kind of my major thing that I wanted to do here, was just being fun and silly and using wacky ideas. So this is all just supposed to be kind of fun, nothing super serious here. And like I said, I know some people have been like a bit not happy with the Banban rewrite series, and I do apologize if you guys have kind of taken it as like a big middle finger to Banban itself. And
the problem with it, the reason why it comes off as a big middle finger is it doesn't feel like any of the things that make Banban Banban's there. It feels like unlike your other rewrite, which feels like there's like a lot of effort putting into it. Like, I watched most of his probably playtime rewrites. It felt like there was effort in there, like he was trying to connect the entire story, make it a better, more cohesive. He was trying to fix the areas where he felt like there were flaws, while still keeping the attitude and tone. It didn't really come off as much. It just came up with like, oh yeah, here's wacky idea, here's wacky idea, here's wacky idea, and it's not cohesive. So it didn't feel like a full rewrite.
And I never really intended it to be like that too much. In some more playful ways, a little bit, yeah. But I don't want it to be like overly trashing Banban. This is just supposed to be kind of like a fun take on things. And if you didn't like it, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to like it. But I just wanted to explain, I guess, my side of things of this is just sort of for fun. And I know a couple people have also asked, like, then why make this series? And
yes, that was my ask. That was my question too.
It's the same thing for why I have this YouTube channel in the first place. It's all just for fun. It's stuff I want to do, and it's just all sort of for fun. Nothing's like overly deep. Like even the Poppy Playtime and FNAF rewrites, which are much more serious, and I put a lot more time into those. They are all just at the end of the day for fun. So I just wanted to kind of.
But isn't making media supposed to be fun and engaging?
I've explained that here. I thought it'd be best to do that in this video and not save it for like a different one. But that's sort of my explanation for the whole series and sort of explaining some of my choices and actions within the series itself. So
in the end, this rewrite was going to fail from the beginning. This entire thing would have been better off if it was never connected to the Banban IP, because having to fit the tone of that universe dragged it down, and really made the generic elements of the rewrite stick out even more. I do appreciate that RaijiBro3 at least listened to our critiques and was willing to hear us out. I also appreciate him for giving me full permission to rip open the rewrite and analyze its flaws, even if this video was protected under fair use already. I do hope that he learns from the problems I pointed out in this video, and applies them to his future projects. And like I said in my reaction to the epilogue, email me, and we can make your second playthrough of the games a very Banban-y event. So with that, everyone give this guy some support and polite criticism, and remember to keep on Banbanning.